Hello and welcome to another exciting new episode of Talking About Stoicism, where we're going over the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and I would like to talk about this passage, section 23 from Book 5, which I think is fairly appropriate right now. Reflect often on the speed with which all things in being or coming into being are carried past and swept away. Existence is like a river in ceaseless flow, its actions a constant succession of change, its causes innumerable in their variety. Scarcely anything stands still, even what is most immediate. Reflect too on the yawning gulf of past and future time, in which all things vanish. So in all, this must be folly for anyone to be puffed with ambition, racked in struggle, or indignant at his lot, as if this was anything lasting or likely to trouble him for long. People do all sorts of things, and I notice it now. We are in a very troubled time, unprecedented time, an extreme time. People do all sorts of things, and I think the idea of acting as if anything of this was lasting is a good way to look at things. It's the famous little adage, right? This too will pass. But let's be fair though. It might also not. Right? The whole corona business is very serious. And I wanted to take this as an opportunity to talk a little bit about human behavior and human responsibilities. Did you ever hear the tragedy of the commons? It's a British thing, right? So you have these sort of common pastures where everybody can graze their cows. Like what do you call that? Let their cows graze, I suppose. But there are rules. You can only put X cows on that pasture, and everybody has to stick to that rule. Now let's say, for the sake of argument, 20 cows. But now you're a farmer and you think, you know what? If I put on 22 cows, that's 2 extra cows for me. Everybody else is doing the 20, so it should be fine. We won't run out of resources. That's not how the human mind works. Everybody wants to make that profit. Everybody is driven by stupidity, greed, and ignorance in equal measures. So the problem is that everybody puts 22 cows on the pasture. But that's too many. It's too many cows. And the result is that the pasture is basically destroyed, exhausted of its resources, and in a very extreme case, there's no more food for the cows. If everyone would have stuck to what was ordained for them, there would be no tragedy. But there is. This is an unprecedented time, and this is a time where we all have to take responsibility. I read just now of a bunch of students from Texas who flew out to Mexico for their spring break and are now sick. Yeah. Stupidity, greed, and ignorance in equal measures. I'm not jabbing at anyone in particular, but this is the time where everybody has to stick together. Because if we don't, then this will turn into the tragedy of the commons. Everybody should stay inside, but I can go outside. Everybody should not go to work, but I will go to work. Gross overestimation of how safe that is. It's not. An absolute misunderstanding of how exponential law works. You are symptom-free, but you infect 2 people who each infect 2 people, and you go 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512. 1,024, 2,048 people in no time. Yeah, started with 1 person who may well have been symptom-free. Stupidity, greed, and ignorance in equal measures. Now, very often when I have discussions with people about Stoicism, they say, well, it's such a selfish philosophy. You only focus on yourself and doing well. That's not true. Stoicism is not a selfish philosophy. Stoicism is a philosophy that believes that when everybody does the right thing, there are fewer problems in the world. But people can't do that. You know why? Stupidity, greed, and ignorance in equal measures. If everybody would truly focus on improving themselves, on making progress and improving their behavior, there would be a lot fewer issues in the world, but people don't. Because you should stay in, but I can go out. The tragedy of the commons. This is why we have never made contact with extraterrestrial life forms. You know why that is? Statistically, it's almost impossible. There's no other life in the universe. Think of how massive the universe is. You really think we're the only living beings on one little planet? Random little planet? That's very unlikely. But you know why they never made contact? Because they're watching us, and you know what they see? Stupidity, greed, and ignorance in equal measures. Do you truly think they see love and friendship and kindness? I don't think so. I want to believe that, but I can't. Because all I need to do is look outside and I see. Now, you could make a change. You could choose to not be stupid, greedy, and ignorant. And then there won't be a tragedy of the commons. And then we may actually stand a chance of getting through this. Because a pandemic can also wipe out the human race, right? That can happen. Do I think that will happen? I like to think that there are enough sensible people for that not to happen. But is it a possibility? Yeah, it is a possibility to consider. If you don't want that to happen, then think about what you are doing, why and how. And then choose. Stupidity, ignorance, and greed, or love and kindness and compassion. Because it is one or the other. Pick. Make a decision. But realize that there will be consequences to your decision. Not just for you, but for other people. Blue pill, red pill. Time to choose. I'll see you next time. Harsh words for harsh times.